It's just one day. He's leaving. So let's bring AJ back in the mix. What's he thinking? Well, if you're thinking at the new coordinator, you're laughing. I would demand a trade. A guy who's never called plays and has been a coach for 23 months, 24 months, 25 months. What could he possibly tell A.J. Brown? I mean, honestly. I heard John McMullen say growing pains. So A.J. Brown at 28 years old wants to go with an OC with growing pains? What's this? Temple? Does Rex Ryan or McDermott run a similar D? Rex Ryan does. AJ can go, honestly. And who are you replacing him with? Jahan Dotson? Who are you replacing him with? This is what Vic's thinking about. Hey, this guy has been a great coach for 5 decades. 5 decades. He's been a great coach. Okay? 5 decades. Get this here. The Cowboys and the Eagles are in completely different and opposite areas on building a team, folks. Let me read this mess. I guess the Cowboys should trade all their top defensive players since they got someone who hasn't called defensive plays. The Cowboys are not a top 10 defense. The Cowboys have not been a number 1 defense. The Cowboys have not been good on defense for 5 or 6 years. They're in the building processes of building their defense up. The Eagles were in the process of having the 10th best defense and the number 1 overall defense. They're in completely polar opposite directions. I mean, dude, the Cowboys were 32nd in defense. 32nd. They're going to build with the young play caller. Guys, has no understanding of football. When you have experienced players, let me ask you something, guys. When you have experienced players on your football team, guys who have been to Super Bowls, do you hire somebody that's never been to coach them? Like Sean Mannion. Is that his name? Okay. Sean Mannion has never been to as a coach in any way, a Super Bowl, right? Never. So let's see how many people on that Eagle offense have been to a Super Bowl. Both tackles. So 2 tackles. Barkley, quarterback's been to multiple Super Bowls. Devontae and AJ Ben. Guard, center Ben. Let's see. Tight ends Ben. Shit, the 13 wide receivers Ben. I mean, the right guard has even been. So let me get this right. 11 players on offense have been to a Super Bowl. And you hire a guy who's never taken a team to a Super Bowl, let alone only been coaching for 25 months. Make that make sense. What could that guy possibly tell those players? What does he even know how to get there? How does he even know the journey? Those players are so more skilled mentally on how to get to a Super Bowl and prepare for a Super Bowl than that guy will ever be. And you hired that guy to coach them. I mean, then you hired a guy to coach Jeff Stoutland, who's been there since you won the Super Bowl in the first one. I mean, I don't even know how you look the guy in the face when he walks into the building with respect. Okay, so everybody on offense has Super Bowl pedigree, and the only guy that doesn't is your new coordinator. Sure. Yeah. Only an idiot like M. Reyes would find a way to make that work. So every coach Every player on offense has been to a Super Bowl, multiple, except the new 25-month coordinator. How in the world do you even process that? The only way you process that is that Nick is in control of that. And that the guys in the building must know how they go through the process of building a game plan. It goes through Nick's hands first, then it goes through the OC, no matter who it is. If Vic retires and we keep AJ, 10-win cap, zero margin of error. If Vic retires and we trade AJ, if Vic Fangio retires and you trade AJ, you're a 7-win football team. I've already said this. Tyler. If Lane Johnson retires, Goddard leaves, and AJ goes, you're a 7-win football team. If you add Vic to that, you're in that 7-win football team. I mean, you're not going to make the playoffs. You're not going to be a 500 team. Based on what? And if you lose Jalen Phillips and Jacoby, are you going to overpay for Reed Blankenship? Reed Blankenship. You know what? Vic has to look at that. They're not going to pay Reed Blankenship the money he's going to get in the open market. Somebody will overpay for him. They're going to give him $10 million. And they're not going to give Jalen Phillips $22 million. They may not even give him $21 million. And they're going to let those guys roll. Why would Vic come back to that? Here we are again. We got to go back. We go to like the Team Woo signings again. Okay? Seals. Then the morons in the room are Lurie and Howie doing the same thing last year. They blew it up in our face and they want to double down on it. Yeah, well, they're going to double down on it, my friend. They're going to double down on it because they believe that their system works. And, hey, for the record, I've said this. I think they win a lot of games. I don't think they win enough of the big games. You got 2 Super Bowl wins. Let me ask you this. Let's go here. And I didn't even put this down as a topic. In 32 years of owning the team, Jeffrey Lurie has been to 1, 2, 3, 4 Super Bowls. Got 2 wins. In 32 years of owning the team, you think he's over or underachieved? $32 years. Do you think the owner's over or underachieved? 2 Super Bowl wins, 4 appearances. 32 years. He's overachieved. Overachieved? Okay. Underachieved. Under. Overachieved. Okay, so let's take a look at this. 32 years. Well, I think in 32 years, the New York Giants have as many Super Bowl wins as you, don't they? Or is this about getting to the NFC title game, winning playoff games? What's this about? So let's take a look at this here. Last 32. So let's go down the list here. So that's roughly right here on where we are here. Okay. Here we go. Let's go. Actually, 2000. So 2000's 20 what? 6 years? 26 years. Let's go here. See, Baltimore is 1-2. Okay. The Rams have 1-2. Been 3. The Buccaneers have been to 2 and 1-2. Patriots and the Chiefs, that's separate to the side. Giants got 2 wins. Actually, Giants have been there 3 times since 2000 and have won 2. Let's see here. The Eagles have 2 wins. The Broncos have 3 wins since 2000. Back-to-back. And also that 1 win. They got 3. So what do you think? Think Jeffrey Lurie's over or underachieved since 2000? Look at the level of parity in the NFC compared to the AFC. I would say the rosters are better constructed in the NFC top to bottom. Hence, no back-to-back NFC East champions. Yeah, I would say that. I would. The Eagles should have the most Super Bowls in the NFC. Okay? Not so many opportunities down the drain, and they're about to squander more chances. Well, yeah, you go back to the Andy Reid time in the NFC Championship games. You guys put 5 on the table. You're telling me, let me go back to when Jeffrey owned the team then. Eagle fans, how many of those 5 NFC Championship appearances do you think the Eagles, they did it right, brought T.O. back, worked that whole thing? How many Super Bowls do you think Andy Reid left? 2? Should have beat the Bucs, right? You beat the Bucs, you beat the Raiders. That's another Super Bowl. No? The winner of that NFC Championship game that year, the last game at the Vet. Right? Well, here, the reason I asked that question is because they believe the organization and organizations win championships. I don't believe organizations win championships. I think the players on the field do it. Now, look, you have to have smart people putting and making the right moves to hire and get the right coaches. Well, you don't do that all the time. What you've done is bring in really good talent on the field. And for whatever reason, the Eagles don't see that. They think it's their executives making those decisions. So when you have to take the money and you have to calculate the money and you blow towards your defense, how about this? Let's ask this question. If you brought back that entire defense from a year ago, would you be in a Super Bowl right now? If you brought every player from a year ago back, do you think you'd be playing the Patriots in the Super Bowl? I do. Even with that offense that sputtered, I do. How about this one? Do you think you'd be in the NFC title game? All right. If you think this right here, well, Nick, how far do you think you would have gone with if you brought that entire defense? If you brought that entire defense back of a year ago, how far would you think you would have won? You think you would have beat the Niners? Then you think you would have went up maybe to Chicago? Gave Chicago a game? Because you would have went to Chicago, right? You'd have been in the NFC title game. That's funny. Now all of a sudden your wide receivers suck. All of them. Dude, you guys are just way off on A.J. Brown. He ain't dropped a step. I'll tell you what A.J. Brown has dropped. Faith. A.J. Brown has dropped faith in the offense and how they execute and how they construct a game plan. What did you think you got when you hired him? You knew he had a mentality like this. I read you his scouting report. You knew who he was. What'd you think? He just changed his stripes because he was an Eagle? People don't do that, dude. Get this now. And here's the beginning of the end of A.J. Brown. Now you got Eagle fans starting to say A.J. was never that good. A.J. was never that good? Really? The excuses that you make for your guy. No, it was Jalen Hurts that was never that good. A.J. is that good. You think there's any coincidence that some of the greatest running attacks of all time in NFL history were with A.J. Brown being on the team? Derrick Henry and Saquon Barkley. You think there's any coincidence to that? Probably you do. You probably think that's as much coincidence as Belichick coaching Brady and Lawrence Taylor. I mean, right? Think AJ did fall off 5 to 10%, but had hamstring issues this season. Desire to play hard diminished because of the offense. I think that latter part of it is true. I don't think A.J. Brown is slower. Jalen Hurts has never been good at getting the ball on time to anybody. Seals, to be fair, you've been saying trade A.J. since 23. I've been saying trade A.J. since 23. Actually, yes. Was it 23 or 24? It may have been 23. It may have been. Well, if you're not going to have a prolific offensive attack, why pay a guy $32 million? What's the point? What's the point of having a guy like Max Crosby on your team if your defense is 28th and you're paying him $28 million? What's the point? What, you just got to have a guy on your football team paying him money and you suck anyway? Like that Trey Hendrickson guy. Trey Hendrickson wants like $30 million. Why? The Bengals sucked with you or without you? At least when Myles Garrett was on the field. The Browns had one of the best defenses in pro football. They were second. At least he took care of facts. Trey Hendrickson is a colossal, what's that guy's name? That Kerrigan guy you guys got from Washington? I mean, he's like that guy. That Kerrigan guy. Seals, 4 teams already calling for AJ. Bills, Patriots, Broncos, Raiders. Watch, he gets traded to the Raiders. And you see any wide receivers in the draft. There's a bunch of wide receivers in the draft, but hey, don't go to sleep on the Chargers bringing him in. Chargers got money, and they're interested. Come. Career highs is just that, career highs. That means nothing. Bums had career highs. Yeah, most of the time on bad teams. When you have a career high in a good football team, the Eagles wide receivers, A.J. Brown had career years and a good season. They went to the Super Bowl 22 with him. He had 1,500 yards. Show on the 49ers last night. Montana spoke about Bill Walsh. Ball on time, 4-inch margin of error. Yeah. I used to get Coach Walsh on my show when I was out in San Francisco. And I'll tell you what he educated me on the quarterback position. I used to be just like everybody. You know how you can always tell when you got an idiot like M. Reyes in here? Guy throws a great deep ball. Right then and there, anytime anybody tells you that, always just dismiss it. Because he doesn't know, they don't know what they're talking about. Because I used to say that. Bill Walsh went like this. He goes, you don't know what you're looking at. You could tell a quarterback and how good a quarterback is by his feet. His feet are the processing machine that allows him to process because he gets back in his steps. He sees the field. He has time to process. The faster you get back, and when you rotate your hips, he showed me the whole formula on how to throw the football. He goes, playing quarterback's in your hips and in your feet. It's not in your arm. The arm is one of the most overrated things in football. You can always develop that. You can't develop bad feet. I don't really think Jalen's got great feet. I think that's why he struggles in the pocket, because I don't believe he's got good mechanics. I would say the Eagles have underachieved by the NFL standards. They have overachieved in 32-year period. Only 4 other teams have done more in the amount of time, and only 2 since 2000. Chiefs, the Giants, the Rams have been to 3 Super Bowls since 2000. Have they not? Maybe 2. Let's see. Golf, Stafford. So I think maybe 2. I think that other one was in St. Louis. I think it was in the late 90s. Drew Brees had some of the best feet I've ever seen. That's right. That's why he could overcompensate for a little bit for his height. He used to jump, twist left and right while looking at his progressions. Mikey, one of the other things he did that he told me was he would drop back 9 yards instead of 7 so he could see over his O-line. And it gave him a better, and he would move around a little more in the pocket to create passing lanes. Jalen will always make that big throw when you need it most. I don't believe that. I think the NFL's caught him like they did Wentz. I don't think what else is Jalen Hurts going to show you in the next couple of years? You think that he has in his toolbox? I think that's a great question. If you're a coordinator, what does Jalen still have to show us that he's going to get better at? What is he going to show us? Arm strength? Progression? What? Processing? Well, he don't want it anymore. Yeah, right. Right, John. He's not going to improve in his passing game. His scramble ability? Okay, maybe. I might agree with that. Hurts has to show consistent play. Well, do you think since 22 he showed consistent play? Even in the Super Bowl year? As I listen, I've showed you this. And this is what Vic is putting into his processing of whether or not he's coming back. Okay? Seals, had a debate in the barbershop the other day. Was Tarkenton the best scrambling quarterback? Yeah, because he won more than Vic. Because he was able to throw. He threw for 47,000 yards. Yes. Name me another quarterback who scrambled as much as Tarkenton did that threw for over 45,000 yards. He was not better than Steve Young was not better than Tarkenton. Not at the end of the day. Tarkenton played almost 20 years. Young was on a better team. Lamar's the best? Well, Lamar may be the most talented, but we'll see what kind of career. He'll never throw for 45,000, 47,000 yards. When Fran Tarkenton retired, he retired the all-time leading passer. As much as Elway did move around a lot early in his career, he didn't really later. Okay? He didn't. Yeah, when Fran retired, he retired the all-time touchdown guy, and he also retired the all-time passing leader. Here, I want to do it one last time. Well, we'll probably do it more times. This was 2020. And I'll say it again. I asked the question, do you think that Jalen Hurts is going to improve in any way moving forward? And a new coordinator like Sean Mannon is going to come in and he's going to develop. And here we are going into, what is it now? He came to the Eagles in 2020. So this is 7 years. Am I right? This is the 7th year. Okay, let's take a look. Has issues sustaining rhythm as a passer with so many off-scheduled throws. Same as today. Inconsistent patience, allowing routes to develop. Same as today. Slow recognition of early throw opportunities. Same as today. Leaves slants and crossing patterns behind in targets. He's behind in his throw. Still today. Misses checkdowns and opts for the harder throw. That's why he throws to the sidelines. Deep arm dip and to an elongating release. I think he's improved on that. For speedsters at OU and Alabama to slow to keep up with his throw. Still to this day, Devontae and AJ making exceptional catches. Needs to be better at trusting his pocket. Never improved there. Quick to drop his eyes. Never improved there. I mean, he's never and hasn't been coached in any of those areas except with his rotation on throwing and getting away from that elongated pass. He's still the same guy. He came out in 20. Where are you seeing improvement? Where do you think a guy who's 23 years old or whatever, how old he is, 33? Do you think he's going to come in here and prove that? And if you're Vic, you're on the other side of this going, you brought a 33-year-old coordinator in? Really? You brought a 33-year-old guy in. I mean, Vic Fangio's been a coach for 5 decades. Walsh always said, be drafting a quarterback, it's always in the feet and hips, just like boxers. Correct. That's exactly what he said. He's like, you look at his arm, huh? Nice big arm, right? I go, yeah. And he goes, dude, it's in the feet and hips. Because it's not coachable. Saban, Kellen, Shane would have did it. Jalen's solution is to avoid a 10% sack rate was to leave a good pocket, roll right, throw it away. That's not a bad play to throw it away. But that creates third downs and creates 3 and outs. So let's go back. Circle back to Vic here. Is it the front office or his age? And I wrote this down here. It's got to be this too a little bit. So if you're Vic and you're watching all these bullshit hires on offense and Nick's influence on that side, don't you think that takes its toll? I mean, you brought in Kellen. Kellen never ran his offense. He ran Nick's risk-averse thing, and Barkley just happened to hit pay dirt with that running attack. The O-line was healthy. They were killing it in the O-line. Dude, you were so one-dimensional. And Kellen went, fuck it, hand it off. Let's go. That's what they did. Do you know how many people used to tell me, well, Sills, would you just start throwing it to throw it? No. You would have lost games. If you would have had a balanced offense in 2024, you'd have lost games. You didn't have to have a balanced offense. They couldn't afford it. They tried it in the first 4 games to be balanced. What happened? You had 26 turnovers in 23 games. Think about that. Hey, Kyle, do me a favor. Do me a favor. How many turnovers did Hurts have in 24 in the first 4 games? I want to show you something just to bring that point home. let's see here. So let's see here. He had 15 turnovers, 15 INTs. Is that right? 15 INTs. And let's see. Where did he have? Here we go. He had 15 INTs in 23, right? 2023. He had 15. I think he had six fumble losses too. Let's see here. Fumbles. I think he had 6 that season. Oh, he had 9. So he had 24 in how many games? And 17 games. So how many, Kyle, how many in the first 4 did he have? 4 interceptions, 3 fumbles. That's 7. Okay. That guy in 21 games, he had 31 turnovers when you were throwing the ball. He had 31 turnovers, 21 games. That's why they went to run the ball. That's why they went to run the ball. And so what's Sean Mannion going to do? Increase the volume? Well, you're going to be back in the boat again. You're going to be turning the football over. Ask Vic. So Vic's defense has got to carry the mail then. Correct? Right? Got to carry the mail. 2022, Jalen. By the way, Gary Cobb will join us at 4:30. Xander's going to join us in a couple minutes. That's nothing new. No, it's not. But if you're expecting this new offensive coordinator to roll in here and create what? A passing attack? Dude, their number one objective is to get the run game going again. Not to get Jalen Hurts going. This whole week, I said something over the weekend. You've got a Sirianni kind of problem here. Nick wants it done one way because the quarterback can only do it one way. That's why you brought in a guy with no experience, because there's no pushback. A good coordinator would come in here and go, we have to have some balance. The quarterback is not capable of giving you balance on a week-to-week game, which means what? Your defense is going to be put in bad field position. And if you lose all those other players, this old man's got to put this shit together again. And it's a conveyor belt of like, all right, we're going to do this again. Yes, I did. Every time Jalen is tasked with pro quarterback responsibility, he crumbles. I just think he can't do it. A good OC or experienced one would bench or walk away from him. Well, the coordinators did walk away from it. They don't want the job, and they don't want the responsibilities. Maybe this is what's leading to this. Here, let me tell you what I'd be doing if I was Vic right now, thinking about whether or not to retire. Do I want to go out on top? Are the Eagles in a position to win a Super Bowl this coming year? I think that's questionable. Like here, if I was going to rank, now look, this could obviously change because of free agency. I would say this. Let me go here. Coming back, I'd put these teams. Seattle, Put the Rams. Depending on Stafford. I'd put Chicago. I'd put San Francisco. Get Warner back. Get Bosa back. You bet. I put I don't believe the Cowboys can catch you. I believe the Packers will be better with Micah. I think you're better than Tampa. Will you be better? I think you and Detroit are in the same boat. So at 6, I'll go tie. Detroit and Philly. Yeah, Seattle, Rams, Chicago. San Francisco's getting their horses back. And Green Bay getting Parsons back. There's 5 teams. Maybe Detroit ahead of you right now, especially if you lose AJ, Vic, Goddard, and Lane. You got to hope all that goes like this. Lane comes back. What version of Lane, too? AJ. Why would AJ want to come back to a guy who's never called plays? I can't. There's no way he wants to be here with that. What are you selling him? All right, he wants out. Okay. He's probably saying this. Great. I got my ring. I got 2 NFC championship rings in a Super Bowl. This guy's already got more silverware than what T.O. has. What would I mean? Terrell Owens and Randy Moss don't have the silverware he has. As a team player, he's already more accomplished. I like the fact that Raheem Morris is now the D coordinator. Also in San Francisco, I think that's a big deal. I think the Panthers still have to get some offensive players this coming offseason here. I think that they're pretty they're a physical football team. I don't think you'll understand what under contract means. I don't think hey, let me hook you up on here, Kibo. Contracts are like hearts. They're made to be broken. Okay? They're made to be broken, kid. T.O. is on a different planet than AJ. Yeah. I think AJ is a great player. He's not Terrell Owens. Did Dan make a Super Bowl pick yet? No, not yet. I'll talk about the game soon. I did not. Why would I trade Crosby for AJ? I mean, if I'm going to trade Crosby to AJ, you're going to have to give me AJ and a pick for Crosby. Now, maybe the money will offset that because Crosby's $28 million, but AJ's making $30 million. You're going to have to give me more. AJ's not enough for Crosby. If you want Max Crosby, you're going to have to give me AJ and a 4th, maybe a 3rd because of the money. Now, it's offset because the contracts are pretty compatible. Crosby's a better player than A.J. Brown right now. Now, A.J.'s a more valued player, though. I don't think you have to spend a ton of money on edge rushers to win a Super Bowl. I don't agree with that. If I'm going to spend a ton of money on a position, corner, defensive tackle, offensive tackles, my quarterback, and maybe my wide receiver. Outside of that, those are my premium positions. By quarterback 1. Now, Sam Darnold's changing that for me. I think one of the things that this Super Bowl has done for me, you don't have to be elite to get to the game. So why would I pay elite prices for the quarterback? Look at the two quarterbacks in the Super Bowl. Drake May's on a rookie deal. He hasn't wowed anybody over in the playoffs. We like the kid. But as he played well, he's throwing at 55% completion percentage. He's not been very good. Now, the weather played a factor. But Sam Darnold is making $37 million. He's making almost half of what Dak makes. He makes about $13 million less than what Jalen makes. And he's going to go play for a Super Bowl. He may hoist the Lombardi Trophy. Why would I spend money moving forward on a quarterback? The best player on that offense is JSN. JSN is the guy that's making Darnold. Darnold's still a turnover guy. Look at his turnovers this year. I saw him in a game against the Rams and won when they went to SoFi. He had 4 picks. Their defense was great. Darnold threw the ball over. Remember, when Darnold came out of Southern Cal, he turned the ball over. I think he had 12 his last year there or something. So, Seals, you're saying our quarterback is average, can't fix it. Fix what? What are you fixing? He wins. He's who he is. Jalen Hurts is not going anywhere except this. He'll see the game better. He'll be smarter. His decision-making, I think, will continue to improve. But as a talent, no. How? I mean, Jesus criminy, guys. You got Dallas Goedert and A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith, and you haven't improved the offense in 3 years in the passing game. What do you think a new guy's going to do? I mean, what do you think? You're going to have an out-of-body experience? What do you think? He's got the skills? This is about skill set. His knowledge is going to continue to get, the more and more you see shit, the more and more you're going to get better at it. I never said he stunk. He's who he is. Says your thoughts on Paul George, a 25-game suspension. That guy has been an ass hat for the last 8 years of his career. I mean, I don't get the guy. I mean, Daryl Morey, too. Daryl Morey wants to try to make a move for Giannis. For what? Why in God's name would Giannis not want to go to Golden State? Why would he want to go to Philly? Now, if you got rid of Embiid, which I doubt, that's another conversation. And the East is wide open. So is this year an outlier year with lesser teams and quarterbacks making it deeper into the playoffs? No. Let me ask you something. In the last 3 years, okay, in the last 3 years, you've had a 7th-round draft choice and Brock Purdy go to a Super Bowl. You had a 2nd-rounder and Jalen Hurts go to a Super Bowl. This year, you've got a quarterback that was fired 5 times, called the bus 5 times, going to the Super Bowl. Why are you paying $50 million? I'd rather build my team like the Eagles do. Give me the roster over an elite guy. Hey, Buffalo's got the elite quarterback in the subpar roster. How's that working? How's that working? How's that working for him? How's that? How's that working for Buffalo? To some extent, how's that working for Baltimore? I like Maxey. The Eagles have nothing to lose if they bench Hurts. Dude, you're not benching the quarterbacks. Please stop that conversation, my friend John. You're not doing anything in that conversation until after the 27 season. Until then, that is a non-starter for me. I mean, if Jalen Hurts lays an egg in 26, at the end of that year, they'll begin the process of moving off of him after 27, and they'll bench him in the 27 year. They are not going to bench the quarterback until after the 26 season, until they're dead sure if the quarterback is going to continue to get better. I told you from day one, Jalen Hurts was never going to have a long stay here. This is going to be like a 9-year deal. Tops. Now, go back. Okay? Go back. Look at this here. Hurts will never be benched. Wentz was. And Wentz was making $32 million or $30 million. That's like saying Doug Peterson would never be fired. Hurts will never be benched, and Doug Peterson would never be fired. Yeah, okay. Sills, what's the scouting report on Drake May and Sam Darnold? Have they improved? Darnold is still the same guy, believe it or not, if you read his scouting report. I know we're not talking about Stoutland, but I think he retires after they find Lane Johnson's replacement. I'll tell you this. Two guys I'm not anxious to have that conversation with, Jeff Stoutland. And by the way, this conversation that people are having with Jeff Stoutland and demoting Jeff Stoutland, wait a minute. So you demote Jeff Stoutland and you hire a 24-month coach. Man, I'm sorry. If I'm at battle with somebody and you give me a guy fresh out of West Point, and I'm not in the battlefield with a guy who's been used to taking strays and used to taking ammunition on, I'm not in that huddle with you, bro. I want to be in there with somebody that's taking fire, a guy that understands how to assess his opponent. I want people that know if your opponent's superior to you, how you're going to adjust. I want to know all that shit. How could you possibly get this? So let me one more time on this here before we bring Xander in. Now I want to pay a glorified running back or quarterback who won't run. How about this? So every single player on your team in 26 has got Super Bowl experience, and the only person that doesn't have Super Bowl experience is your new coordinator. Is that right? Okay. Look, this guy may turn out to be the next whatever. But right now, I don't know who the fuck he is. And then as for Vic, so how come I keep hearing exits? AJ may be traded. Lane may be retiring. Are you guys at the back end of your run here? This is how this is like what the Kansas City was talking about. Kelsey getting old. Moving on from Tyreek Hill. Moving on from Orlando Brown. You know, not having the same type of run game with Pacheco. Doesn't this sound like you're running it down, not up? You think you're amping your team up or down? Lane may retire. Vic may retire. Goddard we're moving off of. AJ we may be trading. Does that sound like you're ramping up? Or maintaining? Or does that sound like you're ramping down? I mean, hey, I don't want to give you an opinion on that. I'm just going by what you're doing. I haven't even talked about Super Bowl 60 yet. Jesus, I mean, this Vic. Hey, so let me. So Vic's still deciding whether or not to retire or not. Like Hugh Douglas said to me, dude, you're either in or you're not in. Hey, should I jump off the deep end? Should I jump off the cliff or should I not? Well, I don't know. Well, then shit, you better not, kid, because I'm thinking you're not going to land right. Don't you have to have conviction in everything you do? I would think. But what the hell do I know? Not very much. This is something else. I keep telling them, hey, we're going to be great in 26. I'm like, based on what? Vic Fan? Oh, my God, if Vic Fangio retires. Woo! Hey, let's go see if we can get Jim Schwartz. Yeah, no. All right. Hey, I want this kid to make me feel better. I do. Let me say,